Hi. Today we're going to talk about the Karpman drama triangle. And if you haven't heard of it, it involves three people, always three, who are in a toxic relationship. And so each of these people plays a role in that relationship, and that's the drama triangle. So the first role is victim. The victim role has no power and no blame. Things happen to them. So they're the person who says, this bad thing happened. I had no control over it. Someone was bad to me, etc. Then the next person in the triangle is the persecutor. Now, the persecutor says, I am right and I am not appreciated. So that's the person who feels completely justified and is usually the one sticking the finger at the victim, saying, it's your fault, you're doing something wrong. And then the rescuer is a third person who says, I'm indispensable, I am good, and I am helpful, and usually sticks up for the victim and defends the victim from the persecutor. And there's your toxic combination where the persecutor is always chasing the victim always says, I have no control, I have no power, and the rescuer always steps in and says, wait, don't bother the victim so much. And so the reason it's toxic is because it's never ending. The persecutor also feels, in a way, victimized because they're never appreciated, never acknowledged. The rescuer can't get out of a situation because they're always needed, and the victim can't get out of the situation because they have no power. So what to do about these things? So there are two approaches. One is to stop using the triangle and speak to each person directly. So let the victim and the persecutor person speak directly to each other and say, here's my problem with you, here's my problem with you. Don't involve the rescuer. Likewise, the rescuer and the persecutor can speak and say, listen, when this happens, when you get this way, then I feel protective. And certainly the rescuer and the victim can speak and say, when this happens, I feel like I want to help you, but maybe that's not in the best interest. Which actually brings us to the second way of resolving this, is to transform the role. So the victim, if they have some ownership, can actually become very creative at figuring out what their issue is and how they can get out of it themselves. The persecutor can stop talking about how right they are and how wrong the victim is and start listening, and actually can become a very effective consultant to this former victim, saying, yeah, this is creative. Now, how will this work? What do you need? What's involved? Is this really realistic? That sort of relationship, without saying you're wrong. And the rescuer can become an effective coach from a place of distance, of saying, it's not my job to solve your problem, but I'm happy to support you, former victim, and now creator, in creating your own solution. And if people transform these roles, then that triangle can become quite helpful and quite collaborative, quite constructive. But to do that, all three parties, all three people who are involved, need to shift their roles. And that's always challenging. And that's why sometimes people need a third party or a fourth party, like a mediator or a counselor or a coach or a therapist, to be able to intervene and say, this is what I see, and support each of them in shifting their roles. So I'm curious if this rings true with you, if you've been in this situation, and if so, what role have you played? Have you been able to transform it? And do you have other solutions of how you can shift this toxic triangle from this unpleasant interaction to something more constructive? Send me a LinkedIn message, send me an email, and I look forward to hearing from you. Take care.